Welcome to the third episode of the Southoe Midloe Community Hub project story. At the end of episode 2, we'd just discovered that the whole of the nave floor needed to be replaced and the laying of pipework in the churchyard trenches was in progress. But since then, a great deal of work has taken place during February and March 2026. And one of the major projects was the completion of the installation of solar panels on the south nave and south aisle roofs. And this drone footage was kindly provided by the firm who installed the PV panels, Infinite Heating. Alongside completing the PV work, a three-phase inverter was installed high up in the tower. The three-phase electricity upgrade was completed by UK Power Network, and the whole system was commissioned on March the 17th and is now fully working. When the wooden nave floor was taken up, it was found to be rotten throughout. It was agreed a new floor would be laid, and this work has continued since the last episode. Now, let's go over to the church and meet Richard, one of Lodge & Sons staff, who along with colleague Bob have been rebuilding the new floor.
So, good morning, Richard,
Good
one
morning.
of the workers here with Lodge & Sons. You just said to me, it was really nice to hear, you enjoy what you're doing.
We do, yeah. We love what we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's history. So
It is, yeah.
what we're doing now is what someone's done years and years and years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so we're only custodians of these churches, with these buildings.
That's beautiful.
So we just, keep them maintained. And I
Yeah.
think they should be maintained.
Yeah. Well, we're doing our best here at Southoe. Richard, I'm focusing on the floor here. Just tell us briefly what has had to be done, a little bit more.
All the floors were rotten, so we took up all the rotten flooring. It's all new plates gone down, all new joists gone down, and then there'll be a new T&G flooring going on top of that, which will make it nice flat and nice area for everyone to walk around the church and do what they've got to do in it.
Because the condition of the floor was worse than we thought,
It was,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
It was in terrible condition.
Yeah.
It was powder. It
Yeah.
was powder.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have took long before it finally started to collapse. Even Bob fell through some parts of it.
Yeah.
So
Your colleague went through, didn't he?
yeah, Bob fell through.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know where we are, February the 12th today, I think.
Yep.
Any time scale for when the floor's finished?
Hopefully within by middle part next week, all the joists and all the structure will be done.
Yeah.
And then we've got some concreting that we need to get done, some limecreting to get
Yeah.
done, which we need that to go off.
Yeah.
So once that's down and going off, we can then start flooring.
Yeah.
And that gives us time for that to go off a little bit before we then start doing work on that.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
And
it is.
it's been lovely to see it develop, although when you discovered the floor was pretty rotten, that was a bit of a worry, but we found a way through it.
Just the structure, if you look around at the structure, some of the stones that are in there, some of them are big stones from part of the building before, some of them are stones that have obviously been used for something before, and obviously we've got window jambs and door jambs that were from a previous, obviously opening the arches and one thing and another. But it's nice that nothing was thrown away, it was used.
Recycled,
Yeah, it was reused, wasn't it?
and you're using as many of the old tiles,
Everything
aren't
that we can will go back.
you? Yeah.
If we're short, then we will have to provide, but they are
Yeah.
a second-hand or as closer
Yeah.
match that we can get.
Yeah.
Companies now make them to look like that.
Yeah.
So,
They do.
but wherever we can put back original, we will do. It might not come from this church, but it will come from another church.
During February, all the required works in the churchyard were also completed. This involved the provision of trenches to link up the electricity supply and pipework for water and sewage. The trench work, which was subject to full building control, was carried out by the construction firm Webster's. And here is a short video showing the completed trench works in February.
You can see now all the trenches have been neatly filled in, which are carrying the water and sewage and electrical pipework and ducting, which is really good. That's all been done. The connection is being made now to the sewage facilities in nearby Rectory Lane. You can probably hear all the mechanical noises. There we go, lots of vehicles here making the sewage connection, which is rather important, isn't it, for the new toilet facilities, etc., that will be going in shortly. And you'll see there the north door, which is closed because there's lots of building work going on in there, and it is not safe to enter. So great progress this morning.
Now we move on to March, when Lodge & Sons began to excavate the south porch floor in readiness to introduce a new ramp into the church. This part of the project is to give good disabled access and is fully funded by the National Heritage Lottery Fund. One big surprise was revealed when the north aisle floor was excavated. A Victorian brick heating duct system was uncovered, and although the brickwork was elegant and interesting, unfortunately, it had to be covered over to provide a new firm surface for the new north aisle floor. Meanwhile, in the tower base, a new limecrete floor has been installed. This will be the area where the disabled toilets and sinks will be introduced. Also in the tower base, the new ringers floor has its new joists, and the woodwork for the door into the tower base in the old archway, along with stud partitions, has also been erected. And finally, when the nave floor was excavated, some old stones were found, one of which is particularly fascinating. The archaeological term for this stone is a corbel, and it might have been part of a previous section of the building which was removed or refurbished hundreds of years ago. After all this work in February and March, a break took place over the Easter holidays. We finish off this episode with an interview with our architect, Alex, from Archangel Architects in Cambridge.
So good to be with you, Alex. We just had a site meeting here at Southoe Church. How would you say things are going? We're several months into the project now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a fair amount of surprises. It is the nature of historic churches like this one. The moment you poke one thing, something else appears. It's a little bit like a game of whack-a-mole. So we've had a few delays, we've had a few surprises, but we are on top of everything. We have decided on how to address it. There had to be some changes on the floor. There have to be some changes on the extent of repairs that we will have to do, but I think we have a good team on board. They are doing a very good job, and we'll get everything through in the end.
If I may, Alex, I'm quite interested in recycled materials. Just
Yes.
look over here in the north aisle. It looks like coke, filling up what was an area. There was like an old Victorian ducting heating system, wasn't there?
Yes.
Now this material that's filling in, is recycled?
To an extent, yes. This is what we call glass foam. So they create aggregate out of sand and particulars, the same way that you create glass, but it's blown up like this. It's a very nice material for insulation, and it's very, very strong, so it's very useful in these scenarios to add it for its compressive strength before we apply the limecrete slab on top of it. So we solidified the area around the old Victorian ductwork. We'll add a little bit more all over the floor, just to add a small layer of insulation. We didn't want to excavate too much here. And then we will apply the new slab, which is what they have already done on the side of the tower.
So that's the tower base. It's a bit different, isn't it, how it used to be?
Yes.
And is that limecrete they've put down?
Limecrete, yes.
Yeah.
So it's breathable and allows the floor to vent naturally the same way it was doing before, and avoid pushing the moisture on the walls.
We can't quite see it, but on the top left, behind the arch, is the inverter for the PVs.
That's correct. It's
Yeah.
very slightly, I can see from where I'm here.
Just
yes.
see it, can't we? And they're working now. They've been commissioned today.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, they look lovely, and the drone images were nice.
Yeah, they was fantastic. But finally, if we look ahead, we go up there. Scaffolding on the north side of the building. This is the high clerestory windows. You can't see them at the moment.
Correct.
Bit of an issue with the stonework.
Yes, so all of the clerestory windows were bulging and they needed re-leading. That's not uncommon. I mean, they probably hadn't been checked for a couple of 100 years, if not more. We have already done the ones in the south side, which now look lovely, brand new and sparkling. You can call them, even though it's the same glass as before. Unfortunately, when we took out the ones on the north side, the ferramenta bars that were going through the stone, they had rusted too much, so when the glass and the ferramenta bars came out, the stone fell apart in certain areas.
Yeah.
So we will need to allow for some patch stone replacement to make sure that the windows are stable before the new glass goes back in.
Final question. As an architect, conservation architect, is that right? You specialise.
Conservation specialist, yes.
What do you enjoy doing most, Alex, on a historic building?
Oh, on a historic building specifically. Okay,
Yes.
fine. I think, repairs are extremely important because above all, we need to make sure that the building doesn't fall down. We need to preserve it for the next generation and making sure that it's weathertight and structurally stable is the first thing, obviously. So I'm always happy to be involved in any repairs that preserve our heritage. But I do like projects like this a lot because any building, I view it like a book and it's an ongoing story, and I feel like we are here to just put the next chapter into it, and somebody will come back again in another 100, 200 years and change the building again, and this is how these buildings survive. They change and they cater to the new needs of the local community, and that's the only way to keep them active. Otherwise, we'll close them down and they will be converted into houses, really.
So continually evolving to meet the needs.
Almost all historic buildings from ancient Greece to today, they have survived by changing, and some of them survived because they were buried into the ground pretty much, and we rebuilt them afterwards. But if you want it to be usable, very, very, very few buildings have survived millennia without changes inside. Even if the use stayed the same, this church has been partially rebuilt multiple times during its life. Anyway, we're talking about aisles being taken down, rebuilt, tower was built later. The church was probably built on the site of the previous one.
Yep.
I can't remember the full history at the moment. But it's the nature of the building to be like this, of all buildings. And at the moment, all we are doing is trying to bring the building back to use by the local community and making it more accessible with toilet facilities, introducing a new gallery space and reopening the tower to the public, which the tower was closed for a very long time, nobody could see inside. And hopefully in the future, introducing a small kitchenette tea station also on the north side will make the building easier to use and more comfortable for everyone.
Well, great to work with you, Alex.
Yes.
Over the years, I think this project started in 2021, the actual idea of it. So
For this one, yeah, sounds about right.
It's been running a while,
Yeah.
but it's great to see it happening.
And I would say it's actually one of the fastest ones
Oh,
for,
really?
for churches.
Okay.
Most church projects take a long time. I mean, we just finished one that took 10 years.
Right. Well, we're going to finish before 10 years, I think.
We are on site. We should be finished within the year.
Alex, thanks very much for the interview.
You're welcome.
You take care.